Well, I want to start here this morning. Another fairly busy night, especially in the southern part of the state with weather. I'll talk about that in just a moment here, but I want to go back a couple more days. We're looking at a review of some of the last week, but the big event clearly here for most areas was the last Sunday, the 30th. And we had on the right-hand side here, this is a collection of storm reports from that day. Those are severe weather. And you notice I've called it severe weather here because Michigan was on the northern edge of a large outbreak. The colors there on the right-hand side, the reds are confirmed tornadoes, as confirmed by the National Weather Service. The blues are all areas that have reported wind damage. Green is hail. To give an idea what these are. But again, you can see that Michigan was on that northern fringe, and much of the southern half of the lower was involved in, again, a lot of severe weather. We had some warm, humid air with a weather system moving through the region here on Sunday that made it up that far, and just again a really large severe weather outbreak was the result. But it's also critical on the left-hand side here on the northern edge of this system, given the date and given the temperatures and near to slightly below freezing temperatures, had heavy snow in the Upper Peninsula. Some cases more than a foot fell there. And then there was an area from eastern Upper Michigan into northern Lower Michigan that had an extended period of freezing rain. And this one, the photo there is from Gaylord on Sunday. And in a major accumulation of ice that we don't see very often. Well, nobody sees very often, including in Michigan. But there reports of, in some cases, over 1 inch of ice accumulation, and the damage to trees, power lines, etc., was catastrophic. More than 100,000 people lost power then, and many are still without power. It's a real mess. So this particular event brought a wide range of conditions to the state late in the weekend, again ranging from severe weather, at least five confirmed tornadoes in Michigan. A couple of those were actually just east of us here in the East Lansing area, but many more high wind damage reports, especially again in the south. And yesterday, you probably noticed we had a similar situation yesterday meteorologically, but the warm air just did not make it as far north yesterday as it did on Sunday. And as a result of that, most of the really intense and bad severe weather was confined to our south. There were a couple of reports of wind damage down along the Indiana and Ohio line here overnight, but mostly just heavy rain. And that's where I want to go next. We look at the precipitation totals here on the right-hand side. Note that these do not reflect yesterday's totals, but we've had another week of very widespread and heavy rain and precipitation across the state. Of course, in the northern part of the state, a lot of that fell in frozen form. And depending on your location, on the left-hand side here, mean temperatures for the week range from cooler than normal by several degrees, and that's again definitely true for the Upper Peninsula, to warmer than normal across the south, where we that some of that warm air made it that far north. So big differences across the state from north to south in terms of temperature. But the big news really was the precipitation. This is an image. This is very recent, actually, just a few minutes old, of radar generator. There's a radar estimated precipitation totals here for the last 24 hours, and there were widespread 1.5 to 2.5 inch rainfall totals. Basically, that's what a lot of these colors here say, but it was widespread once again across much of the southern half of lower Michigan, and even there's even some farther north than that. There was actually still mixed precipitation, frozen precipitation in the northern part of the state yesterday, but another very wet day. That is changing things rapidly. And again, here we are, we're talking, of course, about planting and trying to get ready for the season. And at least for now, with all of the water in the landscape, there are going to be some delays. But the bottom line here with our forecast, we are looking at probably at least into next week and beyond a little bit drier weather, and that's going to be where we're headed here next. After I talk about degree day totals, once again, remember that temperature pattern that we saw earlier. It's been warmer than normal across the south, colder than normal across the north, and you can see that there are some areas in southern lower Michigan that have already accumulated 100 base 50 units. And on the right-hand side here, this is the normal total for the date. So what it means, at least in terms of the season thus far, is it's ahead of normal in the south. In the north, it's where it should be. There's virtually no heat accumulation, but we have a very, very large difference. We look at our overwintering crops, etc. In the south, things are moving, have already moved, but in the north, that's still not true at all. There's almost no accumulation there, but there has been in the south, at least at this point in time. And as we look at the weather map here this morning, the big weather system that brought all the precipitation yesterday, you can see just north of Lake Superior, a low pressure system with frontal boundaries that have moved through the state and bringing colder air wrapped around the back of the system in from the west and northwest. So today, decreasing cloudiness in most areas, but windy and significantly cooler, at least in the south. The northern part of the state is going to be about where they were yesterday, but most of the state there'll be a few showers possible in the far northern part of the state, a few flurries. It's actually there's a little bit of snow flurry activity there right now, but nothing significant, nothing like what we saw yesterday. So most of the state dry, windy, and cooler. Here's the map for tomorrow morning. High pressure over the state. Tomorrow will probably be the nicest day, I suspect, at least early of the week. Temperatures rebound several degrees. We'll see mainly 40s today across the state and even some 30s in the north. Tomorrow we'll do several degrees better than that, 5 to 8 degrees, maybe warmer. So probably some low to mid 50s tomorrow. And then looking off to our south and west here, you can see another weather system. Just it's been a very active pattern. But I think the news here is that this might be the last weather system for a little while in the chain that we've had. And the other thing different about this weather system will impact Michigan late tomorrow night and into Saturday. And it will only affect, right now, it looks like it will be primarily confined to the southern half or so of the state. The northern part of the state probably will remain dry with this one. But we are looking at some significant rainfall possible across the south. Here's the map for Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, and you can see the greens there. Again, rain spreading up certainly over southeastern portions of lower Michigan, and then more scattered precipitation as you go north, but it will be fairly light there and heavier as you go south towards Indiana and Ohio. And so when we look at the gauge here, how much are we thinking of for the upcoming week? That weather system moves off by Sunday and Monday, but the most of the precipitation, the totals you see here, and some of them significant, more than an inch, once again across the far south. This will be an event coming here tomorrow night and into Saturday. So again, a strong gradient, but it also means certainly with more water, more delays. It's going to take a little bit longer, but we've had a big reversal. It's been drier than normal. We talked about this last week. So significant changes are occurring out there. It's going to take a little bit of time, certainly for the water to soak in and for things to dry off again. So there will be, unfortunately, delays with this, but it is, on the positive side, it is giving us some recharge of our soil water here before we get into the growing season. Now, looking out in the medium range forecast guidance, this is also important here, again, in our focus on planting and spring field work. And both the 6 to 10 day and 8 to 14 day outlooks are pretty consistent. On the left-hand side here, looking at the jet stream, still troughing over eastern North America, ridging over the west. So remember that under that ridge, it's going to be warm and dry. Under the trough, colder and certainly colder than normal, and we're sort of almost in between. But it does suggest for the middle of April, for the next couple weeks, that we are going to be probably seeing temperatures averaging below or remaining below normal, cooler than normal. Also, a little bit drier than normal with northwesterly flow especially versus what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. So a fairly big change is indicated here in the medium range, and right now it looks like this will persist or last probably about 1 to 2 weeks into the latter part of April. So again, it isn't optimal, but at least it's drier than what we have right now. So hopefully there will be some opportunities start to present themselves here before too long. And then finally, we do have a new 30-day outlook or new monthly outlook for April. That's on the top here. And it has changed a little bit. It was wetter than normal, for the previous issuance of this forecast, but now it has been all, and this is as of Monday, the new revised issue came out equal odds. So no forecast direction on either mean temperatures or precipitation for the month of April. And again, with the beyond that, the outlooks are the same and suggest a little warmer and wetter than normal, at least for the first part of the growing season into the early part of the summer. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up here for the weather.